All right, guys, you ready to rock and roll? You guys ready to finish your last project in seventh grade? You ready to get that A? You ready to pass civics? You ready to avoid summer school and all that awesome fun stuff? Please? Well, that's what I'm here for. I hope you guys are doing really well. I just thought I'd kind of join you on this whole adventure right here by going through this budget project a little bit, not doing it for you, but kind of giving you a little bit more background information, guidance, so you can make more informed decisions. So I would encourage you at this point, have your budget packet available. I'm simply going to be narrating the PowerPoint and I will go to the actual budget project and kind of like, hey, this is the section where this is in, etc., etc. But obviously you guys are doing the work, but feel free to keep this, in the background or pause the video or whatever you need to during it and fill out your information accordingly. Now this video is only going to be dealing with day one stuff. In other words, we're not going through the entire packet in this video. That'll be a second video because I'm expecting you to get to at least step 6 for day 1 and then finish the rest of it on day 2. I'm kind of going a little slower with this project than I normally would because I feel like some of you guys will have be masters of this very easily, and then there will be others of you where it's like math is hard. So that's what I'm here for, and that's why there's this video. So let's just dive right into it, guys. So, budgets. Budgets are a vital part in keeping track of your finances in the future. It may seem tedious, it might seem boring, it may have numbers which are big and scary, it might have math which is math and that's self-explanatory. I get it. But there's some real benefits to learning how to budget, even if you find one area in your life. Maybe it's one less Starbucks run a month. Maybe it's a cheaper car. Maybe it's a cheaper cell phone plan, whatever it may be. If that equated to saving $20 a week, at the end of the year, you're going to have $1,000 more in your bank account. And then imagine if it was a whole lot more. And then imagine if you're doing it over years. I mean, if it's that $20 example, in 50 years, that means you'll have $50,000 more in your bank account just by making one simple change. That's why we're doing this. I'm trying to show you at least give you a little bit of a sample of what budgeting is all about. So that way, when you guys start earning some money, i.e. soon, then you'll be able to make more sound financial decisions, or at least you'll be able to know how to put all your finances on paper so you can figure it out. It was actually kind of funny. A few years ago, I had some students from PBA coming to observe my class because they wanted to be teachers. And my seventh graders were doing this exact project. And long story short, at the end, they're like, can we borrow this packet? Because our finances are a mess. And I'm like, yeah, sure, by all means. So you guys will be farther ahead than some college students if you can master this. So you can pat yourself on the back if you get that far. Okay, so there's some real added value to budgeting, in other words. But maybe that didn't convince you. Maybe this will. Are you tired of living at home with your parents? Feel like you'd be a lot happier on your own with your own place and all that different stuff? Do you want to rent that budget truck so that way you can move out of there and move into a different location? Well, then you're going to need to make a budget, pun intended, to order to do that. Or maybe you have grand schemes to have these awesome vacations. I mean, I don't know where both these places are, but I want to go to them. They look really awesome. Or maybe you want to buy the Ferrari of your dreams. There's a lot of Ferraris there. You got plenty of choices to pick from. That's an expensive car. Or maybe you want to take the noble path and one day build a family of your own. Kids are expensive, so that's the reason I'm mentioning this. Or maybe you want to forget about school and work in general and just retire and be like this old man who has clearly made it, I guess. I mean, he looked really, really happy. Well, if you answered yes to any of that stuff, you're going to need to know how to budget effectively. We'll make a budget and I'll go through all the processes. I mean, this isn't fully comprehensive, but it is a good budget. As in, this is the one that I would give to like young adults to do. However, there's some other expenses not accounted for, but this gets like the main ones down. It's a pretty awesome experience if you ask me. If anything, I hope you thank your parents after this because life is expensive. So, anywho, let's start with the packet. So, your first step is literally to pick a career. You got to have a job one day if you want to make money. And you're obviously going to need to go to school to get that money. So, let's take a look real quick. I have, if I can use the magic of, yep, there's the magic right there. Here's my real life budget simulator assessment right here. I have all these different careers right here with many different like salaries and many different, education requirements and many different careers. You can pick one of those careers and obviously fill out the options accordingly. You'll choose the career choice. You'll say how long you need school for. I put all the education requirements here and how many years they need in case you don't know what that means. So like in the case of this architect here, you need a bachelor's, which is 4 years. And I have the median salaries here, how much you're expected to make a year. And you'll fill that out accordingly. Now, if you, for instance, looked at this list and are like, yeah, there's something I don't see anything that I'd like, you're welcome to email me and give me the name of the job, how much it makes a year, and how much schooling you need. In other words, how many years of schooling. If you have just this, I can help you out with that. If it's like, it says bachelor's, but I don't know what bachelor's mean, I can help you with that. I'll either give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down, and you can use that at that point. I should mention that there are professions that are explicitly banned from this project. And they're right here: professional athlete, YouTuber, streamer, vlogger, lottery winner, etc., etc., anything along those lines. Now you might be thinking, Mr. Shoens, how cruel of you. We should strive for our dreams and be whatever we want to be, right? Yeah, you should go for your dreams, of course. But let's be realistic. I mean, these things here, you're looking at less than a 1% chance of people getting into these things. Not that you can't do it. I still think that if you're an athlete, you should go towards athletics. If you think YouTubing and vlogging and stuff is a thing, by all means. If you win the lottery, share, I guess. I don't know. They're not realistic, though. Even if you have dreams of grandeur for that, and I still would encourage you guys to go for it. Like, if you're an athlete, go for it. Have a backup plan. I had a friend who literally won states for track. He was the fastest person in the state of Florida and won the gold medal and went for professional athletics, and it didn't go well for him. Fortunately, he had the backup plan, which was a personal trainer. Choose something that's along those lines. Maybe you're an athlete and then you blow your knee out in college. Well, maybe do like sports medicine or something like that afterwards. This will serve as the backup plan at that point because you need to be prepared for anything. If you do one of these careers thinking like, Mr. Shoens, I'm just going to do it, yeah, you'll fail this project, so don't. Anywho, fill out the information that you need to accordingly, and let's continue on at this point. So, your take-home salary. You don't take all of your money home with you. You'll see that there's a salary number in that packet, but long story short, taxes are a thing, and some of it's going to be taken out by the government. So let me give you an example real quick. Let's say your salary is $35,000 a year. Your tax rate would be 20%. I have all the charts and figures, and I'll go to the packet in a second where you can find yours. You'll take that $35,000, you'll multiply it by 0.20, which is the percentage rate, 20%. You'll find out that you'll lose $7,000 a year towards taxes. Taxes are not they are mandatory, meaning that you must pay them. So you might say salary's $35,000, but in reality, you're making more like $28,000 a year. And basically what you're going to be doing, if we're looking at this right here, you're going to be finding out specifically how much money you actually make after taxes. You have a chart right here, so you'll just literally go back to this. You'll find out how much you make a year. You'll plug it into the tax rate percentage, and then you'll simply use the formulas up here. Now, that being said, you'll find out what your tax rate here. If it's 10%, great. If it's 32%, great. If you choose a career that's higher than this, which none of those options at the beginning are higher than that, let me know and I'll give you the tax rate at that point. It probably would be 40% depending on what it is, max being 45%. Side note, if you remember from economics, that's a proportional tax rate. You learned that. In the US, if you earn more money, you pay more taxes. Anywho, and that's the commentary that the rich pay the more taxes. But anywho, you're going to be calculating, and I have the formula and stuff right here and some examples and stuff like that, how much you're losing a year to taxes. And then you're going to subtract that from your salary, and you're going to get something known as a take-home salary. That's how much money you're actually bringing home. The other is taken away from your paycheck. You never, ever, ever see it. So you'll find out your take-home salary. And then at that point, I need you to divide that by 12 because you're going to find out how much you make a month. This whole budget project, we're going to be finding out your expenses per month. So we're going to calculate it at the end to see how much money you have left or how much money you don't have at the end of the month. Side note, I should caution, You could be completely negative in this project. You could be completely positive. I'm not grading whether or not you budgeted so that way you have more money at the end than you lost. I'm just seeing if you followed all the steps correctly. You can have negative $10,000 a month in your budget, and you still could potentially get a 100, assuming all the rest of this is done correctly. So just keep that in mind. Don't feel like it's like, hey, I must do the bare minimums, otherwise I'm going to have negative money at the end. You can have negative money at the end, just do it all correctly. Anywho, so you're going to be finding out your take-home salary. You'll find out how much you make per month, like you actually make a month. So that being said, another option I want to kind of point out, and this is for a couple people who wanted the interest of it. Maybe you're someone who wants to work two jobs because you work something that you really, really love, but you also want to earn more money. That's perfectly fine. Full-time working is 40 hours a week. There's a lot more hours in the week than 40 hours. You can squeeze some time working a second job. Now, to make things simple, I'm just going to give you three options of that. So pick one of these options and you'll just simply add it to how much you make a month. Maybe you're someone who wants to work all the time. Like literally you wake up and you go to work. You wake up, you go to work. You have a vacation in one job and you use that option to work more in the other job. Then add about $600 more a month that you're going to get from that. Now maybe it's like, hey, I want to work a little bit more, but I actually still want to have a social life. Then add about $200 more a month. Or maybe it's like, I work too much, and if anything, I need a vacation. I don't need a second job. I need a vacation. Then obviously add 0 a month. This is optional. You don't have to do it, but I know some people wanted something to do that because they actually want to see if they can budget their life right now, and if not, if they can make some changes to it. That's awesome. I give you a huge thumbs up for that. Anywho, college. So now at this point, in order to get that career, in order to get a job with that career that you want, you're going to need some type of formal education, unless you choose custodian, in which case, grab them up. So you're going to ultimately need to go to college. By the way, that's a picture of Liberty University, by the way. That's where I graduated. No, I didn't take that picture. I can't fly like Superman. Depending on what career you chose will depend on how many years of schooling you're going to actually need. So like if I was looking at this budget project, that's where the education requirements are. How many years of schooling did you actually need? So for this section here, you're going to need to find out how much that's ultimately going to cost you at the end of the day. Now, when it comes to that, I've given you guys a couple of options, and this is just in general. Some schools are more or less depending on how prestigious it is, but I just kind of gave you 4 different categories. Maybe you choose to stay in the state of Florida and you're living at home with like your parents, then it's going to cost about $6,000 a year for tuition. Maybe you live in Florida, but you decide to get a dorm room so you can live with dorm mates and all that different stuff. Then budget about $16,000 a year. Maybe you decide Florida, not so interested in it. I want to go out of state. Then without a dorm room out of state, it's about $22,000 a year. With a dorm room out of state, it's about $32,000 a year. If you're wondering why it's more expensive when you leave the state, it's because states give you a little money for college. They don't give people who come from other states money for college, but they only give you that money for college for colleges in that state. Otherwise, it would make no sense. And I did calculate as well scholarships and stuff because some of you guys will definitely be eligible for scholarships, as well as like athletics scholarships. Hey, that's Desmond Howard. If you know who that person is, you're automatically awesome in my eyes. So if we were looking at this budget simulator, you have all the information right here. You have like the cost, so you're just going to simply pick one. Then you're going to calculate how much it actually costs. So you'll take whatever that cost is, you'll multiply it by how many years you need to be in college. You'll get a total for how much your college is going to cost you. And then at that point, you're going to calculate scholarships. At the end of the day, if you're an A student, expect about $6,000 a year for the university you go to. If you play sports, now I put $6,000 a year. Some sports do pay more, some less. It just depends the popularity of the sport. So like college football will give a whole lot more scholarship money than collegiate ping pong. That's just how it is. So with that being said, you calculate how much your scholarships are going to get you. You'll simply just take the amount per year times the amount of years you'll be in college, and you'll get it. So like if you're an A student with sports also, expect $12,000 a year, and then you multiply it by the years, and you get how much you get for scholarships during your college experience. And then you simply just subtract at that point. You take how much college costs, and then you subtract it by how much scholarships you get. You might even have a positive amount at that point, especially if you chose to stay in the state of Florida without a dorm room. That does happen, and sometimes colleges will literally give you a check for extra money. Your results may vary, though. It depends the college. As in, that didn't happen to me. Anywho, so going back to this right here, just to kind of give you an example, well, by all means, if you want to figure it out, by all means, college is going to cost a lot of money, not money that you guys have because you're not working right now. You guys don't necessarily have $100,000 in the bank account to pay for all your college. So you're most likely going to have to take a college loan. Now, some of you guys are going to be very, very fortunate, and your parents have already planned something for you in college, and that's great. Do not take that for granted because college loans are an actual that. It's literally a ball and chain. A friend of mine's literally going to be paying his college loans until he's like 50 years old, and that's no fun. So you're going to need to calculate how much that actually equates to. In other words, we're going to assume your parents aren't paying for your college. If they do, great. But for the budgeting sake, to show me that you know how to do it, you're going to calculate that. Now, you can follow the instructions here right on this slide right here. And if you also look here, it has the instructions right here. You take your college bill, you calculate interest on a loan. Remember, you're borrowing money to go to college. Banks do not lend out money for free. If I give you $100 to borrow, I don't expect $100 back. I want some interest on top of that, so that way I make money too. Otherwise, I'm just borrowing money and getting nothing out of it. So you're going to times it by 1.07, which is 7% interest. So the bank will want 7% more than what they gave you. And then you'll get your total college bill. And then you simply divide it by 10, because you'll have 10 years to pay off your college bill. And then you'll have to divide that by 12 because each year has 12 months. And we're calculating this based on monthly budgeting. And you're going to get your monthly college bill at that point. Now, that being said, next order of business, you're going to need a place to stay. Maybe you want a house like this. That's going to cost a lot more than $250,000. I'll tell you that much. I got some options for you guys, which are all on that worksheet, but to kind of put it in perspective right here, and I know the rent ones are different now. That's just because rent has changed since I last updated this, but the updated figures are right here. Actually, no, change of plans. Didn't change this year. Changed the other year. Woo! Good, Mr. Shoens. Okay. You're going to need a place to stay. Now, some of you guys are going to be staying with your parents, and that's perfectly fine. The minute I graduated from college, that's the first people I went to because I didn't have a job and I wasn't making any money and I needed a place to stay. So that's perfectly fine. Or maybe you guys might choose some roommates. If so, email me that and I'll either give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Just so that way I know that, hey, they didn't just do the math incorrectly, which is impossible because I already did the math for you. They're doing a roommate or something like that, and they're splitting the costs. You're going to decide if you want to buy, whether it be a house, condo, or apartment. This is what your mortgage is going to be per month. A house is about $1,839 a month. A condo, $1,545 a month. Apartment, $1,104 a month. The interesting thing with these two is I'm not including HOA fees. Again, this is a beginner's budget. Comprehensive one. If you want one when you're 18 years old, let me know. I'll make you one. To rent a place, so you don't own the building, but you rent it and you have a landlord, it's going to cost $2,200 a month for a house, $1,800 a month for a condo, $1,200 a month for an apartment. Now, caution, you might be like, it'd be dumb to rent at this point. It's cheaper to buy. Well, it is cheaper to buy in this sense, but there's other expenses you're going to have to pay when you buy a place. More on that later. So simply, which one? How much is it a month for where you are going to stay? And I should note that these are generous numbers. I mean, the average house in like South Florida is like $350,000, not $250,000. And there are some apartments in big cities that are worth millions of dollars just because where they're at. So if you want a more accurate figure, I'll help you figure it out. Just email me. Anywho, that's step 4. Simply pick where you're going to live. Now, let's move on to tithing. So, the Bible instructs us to tithe 10% of our earnings back to the church. So that way they can continue the mission of Jesus Christ and spread the gospel throughout the world. 10% of your income. Now, couple of things, and I kind of wish I was in the classroom because I could have spent a little bit more time on this. Tithing is not bribing God. That's one thing. You're not giving 10% of your money so that way God looks at you and says, yep, I'm going to make sure that this person has a good time. God doesn't need your money. It's more of an act of obedience. You know how it's really difficult to trust people with money? That's kind of what you're doing here. You're taking something that's really difficult, trusting money to God, and if you're showing that obedience, I mean, God's going to really, really appreciate that. With all that being said, it also helps promote the church, spread the message of Jesus Christ, stuff like that. I have some Bible verses where it's like, even back in Genesis, the first book of the Bible, Adam and Eve, there was the first tithe, so it's not like this is something new, like something after Jesus Christ or something like that. And also just kind of some other things like, hey, Matthew 6:21, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If you're stingy with your money, that says a lot who you are as a person. Proverbs 3:9-10, honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Look at Cain and Abel, the first fruits of their crops. You know, one gave the best, one did not. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will be brim over with new wine. But long story short, you guys are going to be calculating tithing. You basically take how much you make per month and you multiply it by 0.10 because it's 10%, and you'll get exactly how much you tithe a month. So if you make $2,000 a month, you're going to give the church $200 a month. And then our final step for today, I know this is a lot of information and this is a pretty lengthy video, but we're doing it, is to the utility bills, like the power bill, the water bill, and all that different stuff. Do you want the electricity in that place that you're at to be on so that way you can play those awesome video games and watch those and charge your cell phone and watch YouTube videos and stuff like that? Well, then obviously you're going to have to pay the power bill. Same thing with the water bill. Like, do you want the toilet to be able to flush? Then obviously you're going to need to pay the water bill. Now, I put the averages. It's definitely different depending on who you are, because some people use more water, some people use more electricity, some people use less. But we're just going to keep it generic. So you have the numbers here. You just simply put it based upon what you did. So if you bought a house, it's $250 a month for power. If you rented a house, condo, or apartment, then don't worry about your water bill. Your landlord's actually going to take care of it for you. So you saved a little money. A trash bill, yeah, just kind of a FYI. Some places, like Michigan, there is a trash bill, and if you do not pay that trash bill, guess who does not pick up your trash? Yeah, that's so. Just bear that in mind if you're in a different state, like if you don't plan on being in Florida. Anywho, this was a lot. This is where I'm stopping, at least for right now, for the budget project. There's going to be another video tomorrow of me going through the remaining portions of the steps. You're welcome to continue this by all means. I'm just kind of taking it a little bit slow. But I hope you guys are doing well. If you need any help with this, guys, email me. I'd be happy to help you. I'd be happy to Zoom with you guys, whatever it may be. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this as you're doing this. But other than that, I'll see you guys later.